Mark's class, when Jesus ruled, it's going to be flesh and blood people here on this earth that he's going to rule over. And he's going to rule in a certain type of capacity. And what we mean by that is, let's introduce this. Let's introduce a couple of things here, and we're going to pick it up. So let's go ahead and start at Hebrews chapter 11. Or Hebrews chapter 1, I'm sorry. And he's going to rule a certain type of way. And it's an order to the way he's going to rule. All right, which has already been set in precedent of what it is. So go to Hebrews chapter 1 and pick it up verse 13. When you get there, go ahead.
But to which of the angels said he at any time, sit on my right hand until I make thy enemy thy footstool?
Uh-huh.
Are they not ministers?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's good. All right. So with that being said, let's go, because this chapter right here is a conversation where the father's talking to the son, and he say, at what time did he ever say, stay right here until I make your enemies your footstool? Because when Jesus resurrected and went back to the Father, he's on the right hand of the Father, and said his enemies are made his footstool. All right. So let's go look where he got that from. Let's go over to Psalms 110. We're going to introduce something here in Psalms 110. Psalms 110. And I know we got a few scriptures on here, but actually, we ain't going to be too many places too long. Probably just Hebrews 7 for the most part. But we can get it done within an hour and a half at the most. So we're going to get it in here. But we're going to learn about this Jesus ruling after the order of Melchizedek. See, that's what people don't comprehend. Everything that God does has order. God say he's not the author of confusion. So, it's just like in the family, in the church, in the school, in the military, God got order. So he going to have order when he rules. He going to rule in a certain type of capacity. I'm going to move this to the side, but I don't need this. Not like that. So go ahead to Psalms 110, pick it up at verse 1.
The Lord said unto my Lord,
Uh-huh.
sit thou at my right hand until I make thy enemy thy footstool.
All right, so this is what we was reading in Hebrews chapter 1. When he was like, at what time did he ever say, sit down my, what he said, sit down my right hand until I make thy enemies thy footstool. So this is the Father talking to the Son here in Psalm 110. Go ahead.
The Lord shall send the rod of thy strength out of Zion.
Uh-huh.
Rule thou in the midst of thy enemies.
So now the Father is telling the Son in Psalms 110, he say, the Lord should send thy rod out of the strength of Zion. He's telling the Son, you're going to rule in the midst of your enemies. All right, so we talking about Jesus. We're going to see this a little later that we're talking about Jesus. But he said, you're going to rule in the midst of your enemies. That's why the Jehovah's Witness got it wrong when they say he's going to be ruling from up in heaven. That's why our Lord's Prayer say, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. His kingdom coming here. Go ahead, verse 3.
Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power, in the beauty of holiness, from the womb of the morning. Thou hast the dew of thy youth.
Go ahead, read verse 4. Pay attention to this, y'all.
The Lord has sworn and will not repent. Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek.
All right. So he's saying, look, the Lord, he's still talking to the Son, and he's saying, the Lord has sworn and will not repent. Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. So this order of Melchizedek, we're going to go to Genesis chapter 14, and we're going to first see where it first originated, or where we first see about this order, or what's so important. It's going to be real clear and simple by the time we get to Genesis 7. But this order is, or this Melchizedek here, it's kind of similar to saying like president. All right, that's like for example, Donald Trump rules in the order of the president, and what that order is he's the commander in chief of the armed forces, as well as the chief executive of the federal government. So that's what it is when you say Mr. President. That's what you're saying. Basically, what you're saying is you head over the military, because everybody else in the military, short of the president, done went to boot camp, and they done carried out the rank. He's a civilian, so he ain't on the same platform with anybody. He's over the whole military. He can tell the 4-star generals what to do, All that. They all got to answer to him. But then he's also, so he's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And he's also the chief executive of the federal government, meaning, he is over the executive branch. So that means he's over, like how when Obama was president, how he could just pardon people up out of prison. I'm sure that was something that people kind of caught a hold to. You know what I'm saying? That's him being over the executive branch. Like when you know politics, you understand that, the police department, that's the executive branch, the FBI, the CIA. These are all departments. And so this is what the president's job is. Now, we're about to learn about a whole nother order that's going to rule the world. All right, we saw the order briefly of what rules the United States. We're going to look at the order of what rules the whole world government. How is Jesus going to be ruler of the world? All right, because we just read in Psalms 110, the Father told him that he was going to rule in the midst of his enemies, but he was going to be a priest forever after a particular order of Melchizedek. So let's learn to introduce Melchizedek to the saints. Some people ain't never heard his name. You know what I'm saying? Or a title. That's what it really is. What the heck is Melchizedek? Before I start studying the Bible, I did not know what the heck a Melchizedek was. Only your biblical scholars might know this. But the reality is, it's something real simple. We're going to learn that. So let's go over to Genesis chapter 14, and let's pick this up at verse 1. Genesis chapter 14, and pick it up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And it came to pass the day.
Hold on. I'm from the state of Georgia, where we got the program No Child Left Behind. So when I hear the page is still turning, that means we ain't all there. I'm going to wait on it. It ain't enough. You know what I mean? I'm going to wait on everybody to get there. All right, Genesis chapter 14, and let's pick it up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead.
And it came to pass in the days of Raphael, king of Shinar.
All right, now I don't know if y'all know, but Shinar, that's Babylon. This is the original place where Babylon is. So, like I was quizzing my kids yesterday, I'm like, so Nimrod is the first king of Babylon. You know what I mean? Like, where did he come from? That's what I was asking my kids yesterday. And then, it was like Japheth. Like, I gave them the options, Ham, Japheth, and Shem. It's Ham. So this is what we're dealing with right here. We're dealing with Hamites. It says, and it came to pass in the days of Amoraphael, king of Shinar. Well, who else?
Ariel, king of Elisar. Saladomer, king of Elam. Tildel, king of the nation.
All right, so we got all these different kings right here. All right, and really, these different kings or governors, but notice here, it says Tidal was king of the nations. So it seemed to me like he might have been over all these kings right here. But go ahead.
That these made war with Berach, king of Sodom. And with Bershah, king of Gomorrah. Shenab, king of Ebna.
You're doing a good job with these kings.
And Shemeber, king of Zeboyim. And the king of Bela, which is Zoar.
Go ahead.
All these was joined together in the vows of Sidon, which is the salt of the sea. Which is the salt sea.
Right. So if you was to look on the map, you will see that this all took place right around the Salt Sea. So it's giving you a location of where this battle took place at. All right. But this is how we can find out and know that this stuff is real. And it's not, we just in here, at Never Land or something crazy like that. These places are real locations on the map. So this is where this battle took place, over there by the Salt Sea. All right. And the story you got to understand about the Bible and about Genesis. This story was given from God or Jesus to Moses. Probably some thousands of years after it happened. In this case, sometimes hundreds of years, but after it happened. So, it might not even be called the Salt Sea then, it don't matter. It's telling you where it took place for your records, because you can identify where the Salt Sea is. All right? Definitely they could. All right, go ahead and read a little more. 12 years.
12 years they served at Shadalamar, and in the 13th year they rebelled.
All right, so they decided to buck. 12 years they was under somebody else's rule, and they was like, man, we bucking. Go ahead.
And in the 14th year came Shadalamar of the king, they were with him, and smoked the Rephians and the Asherah and the Carnosians.
Okay, that's good. Skip down to verse 8. You got to read some more now.
I got you. And there went out the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Ebna, and the king of Zeboyim, and the king of Bela, the same as in Zoar, and they joined battle with them in the Wale of Siddim, with the Sadalama of the king of Elan, and the Tidal, king of nations, and Amraphel, king of the Shinar, and the Arioch, king of Elazar, for kings with 5.
You was doing good as far as I just said bump. I'm gonna say anything. That's how I keep reading though. We get so we don't worry. It's a reason that I want us to all read this stuff. You read these different names because the more, first of all, the more you read them and familiarize yourself with them, the better you're gonna be with saying them. But it's telling the story. So we're reading the story of what happened. You got basically these kings here. They 4 verse 5. Different kings, different nations. But go ahead.
And the vale of Siddim was full of
Slime
pits.
Mm-hmm.
And the king of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there, and they that remained fled to the mountains.
So the first time we hear about Sodom and Gomorrah, actually, we on their side. That's what y'all might not be catching from this story. You're going to see it in a minute, though. Go ahead.
And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their victuals and went there. And they took Lot, Abraham's brother's son.
Now that is not Abraham.
Abram.
Right. They took Lot, Abram's brother's son. Go ahead. This is before his name was changed.
And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed.
So right now, Sodom is on Lot's side. Lot is Abraham, or excuse me, got me doing it. It's Abram's nephew. All right. So far, you know how family is. Abram gonna come and handle the situation. So go ahead, keep reading.
And there came one that had escaped and told Abram, the Hebrew, for he dwelled in the plains of Mamre and Amorite, a brother of Eshcol and brother of Anar. These were confederate with Abram.
All right, so these people was all on Abram's side. That's what they're saying. Go ahead.
When Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his train and servant born in his own house 318 and pursued them unto Dan.
See, now somebody be like, unto Dan? Like, dang, how is it that Dan, one of the sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, got led? Because remember, the story is told to Moses. So, Dan now exists at this point when the story is told. So now when you go to your back of your Bible and they got these maps, you can go from the Dead Sea over the Salt Sea over to the land of Dan, and you can see the region where they was battling at. All right, go ahead, read some more.
And he divided himself against them, he and his servant by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hebron, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot, and his goods, and the woman also, and the people.
Go ahead.
And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after he returned from the slaughter of Sodom.
Who's the him that he's talking about? I don't know who the him is.
Abraham.
Yeah, you lost, man. You lost.
I'm like,
You lost too.
No.
Okay. Hey, look, we gonna teach. We gonna participate. We gonna make sure we all on the same page. We ain't gotta be lost. All right. So, what's going on? And the long story short is, Lot lived in Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah for 12 years been under these other kings. What it was, Shaldemar or something to that, and now they bucking. In the midst of them bucking, Abram, they started to lose. So this Abram nephew, Lot. So he like, hey, I'm gonna go up there and get my guy. So he sent up, how many people did he say he sent up? He divided himself again, verse 15. His servants by night and smote them. Verse 14. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them. So he grabbed 300 and some of his guys, and he like, man, we finna go get my nephew. You know what I'm saying? Just coon style. So after he get him, you know what I'm saying, he say, and he divided himself against them, he and his servants by night, and smote them and pursued them into Hava, which is on the left of Damascus. So that's showing you how, how far this, where the actual battle took place. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of saying like on 15th and Stony or something. That's where the fight went down. You know what I mean? So then he say, And he brought back all the goods and also brought again his brother Lot and his goods and the women also and the people. So he said, hey, not only do we get everybody safe, but we even got some money out the deal, clothes, whatever else we needed, the sheep, cows, whatever. We took everything. All right, verse 17.
And the king of Sodom went out to meet him.
That him is Abram. So when this all went down, the king of Sodom was he grateful now. You know what I'm saying? Because Sodom and them boys, they had fell in the slime pit. They was going to lose the fight. You know what I'm saying? If Abraham don't come on the scene. Go ahead.
After his return from the slaughter of the Sodomers, of the king that was with him, and the valley of the Sheve, which is the king of Dale, and Melchizedek king.
Nah, this is the first introduction of Melchizedek. Now, just to help us, because what happens in history is people read this Melchizedek and they thinking that this is a name like his name is Melchizedek. But remember when I was explaining, it said that in Psalms 110 and verse 4, he said you're gonna rule in the order of Melchizedek. And I was trying to give you a comparison of presidency. That's how they rule. Like Donald Trump rules in the order of the presidency. All right. Well, this Melchizedek is like walking up to somebody saying, Mr. President. So in this case, they were saying Melchizedek, and it's going to explain what it is and what it means here. Because you know Mr. President is not Donald Trump's name. Even though and his last name ain't president. It's not like he became president and we call him Donald Trump president. You know what I'm saying? But we would definitely walk up, or if they, you see the beat writers and all that, Mr. President, they don't call him Donald. You know what I'm saying? They don't even say Mr. Trump. They call him Mr. President. You know what I'm saying? They don't even say, hey, President. You know what I'm saying? It's Mr. President. It's almost like that's his name for the next 4 years. Hopefully that's all it is. So he said in verse 18, and Melchizedek, and who is Melchizedek?
The king of Salem.
King of Salem. All right, so we about to learn who now he's identifying this Melchizedek. He's king of Salem, and what else?
Brought forth bread and wine.
And notice what he did. That's what I meant to do. I forgot to put a scripture in here. See how it just because I know what this is, what he on. But we'll get there. So he said this Melchizedek brought forth bread and wine. So pay attention. All these other kings that was there, he wasn't kings with them fighting. All right. But he had his own particular land, and he was like, hey, I'm the king of Salem, and I'm bringing to Abraham bread and wine. Go ahead.
And he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him.
And notice what else? It said he was king of Salem, and then he said he was priest to the Most High God. All right, these were two jobs. Just like when you look at the president, it say he's the commander-in-chief, and he's the chief executive of the federal branch, or the executive branch. He's the chief officer of that. Okay, those two of his titles. It said here, this dude is priest to the Most High God, as well as what else did he say he was? He priest to the Most High God, and what else?
King of Salem.
There we go. I just want to see if y'all paying attention. Trust me, I know. All right, here we go. So he's the king of Salem. That's what Melchizedek means. All right, go ahead, read a little more.
And he blessed them and said, blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High God, which had delivered them thy enemy in thy hand. And he gave him tithes of all. And the king of Sodom said unto Abram.
Now notice what happened. Abram went and paid his tithes so he gave this Melchizedek a tenth of what he had. What he had from where, y'all?
From the war.
Exactly, from the fight that he was just fighting. He said he came back. Remember, he sold. Now, ain't no law written like we was talking earlier about the law. Ain't no law written that you pay a tenth, although the law exists.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he off the rip, like, bam, let me give my tenth over here to this Melchizedek. All right. Now let's go over to Hebrews chapter 7. So if you take note, number 1, this dude was king of Salem. Number 2, he was priest to the Most High God. Remember, we saw in Psalm 110 at verse 4, it said that you was going to be a priest after the order of Melchizedek. We're going to understand what he means by that order and what other order is there. You know what I'm saying? And the other order that could be, I give you another order. Pope. That's an order. They got popes and bishops and cardinals, then local town priests, whatever. That's an order. You know what I'm saying? Or in the Bible case, because you know that order full of crap. You know, or in another case, you got the monks. They got an order. But then in the Bible case, you got the order of the Levitical priests, Aaron's sons. You know, and it's an order. We're gonna read that order. We're gonna understand that order today. All right. And then now we see in here, we learn in another order, we got this order of Melchizedek. And we seeing that Melchizedek, when we got ourselves introduced to him, when Abraham finished, all these kings are fighting, and Abraham finished, Abraham went and paid his tithes to Melchizedek, and Melchizedek blessed him. All right. Now, Hebrews chapter 7, and let's pick it up at verse 1. Hebrews 7, and I know we got a lot of this Hebrews in here. It's here, but we're going to probably jump through it a little bit at pieces and parts of what we need of. I just figured out wait on y'all. I hope y'all kind of say this. It ain't that media. It's all right. Hebrews chapter 7, and we're going to pick this up at verse 1. And when we get there, go ahead.
For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God.
So now we saw that, right? Melchizedek, we got introduced to him back in Genesis chapter 14, and it said he was king of Salem and priest to the Most High God. Go ahead.
Who met Abram returning from the slaughter of the king, and blessed him, to whom also Abram gave a tenth part of all, first being by interpretation of king of the righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace.
So you see that it said he king of Salem and king of peace. All right, so we saw that in Genesis that he was king. Now, does anybody know what Jerusalem means? Brother Cam, you know what Jerusalem means?
Jerusalem?
Yeah, what does it mean? What does the word mean? It means the Lord's peace. That's what Jerusalem means. You know, like when you look up Jesus, y'all, anybody know what that word means? It means that the Lord saves. All right, all these words got meanings. You know, they're like all these names and stuff you see in the Bible, they have meanings. So Jerusalem means the Lord's peace. So notice what he said right here at verse 2. And to whom also Abram gave a tenth part of. Talking about this Melchizedek. First being by interpretation, he's the king of righteousness. Then it says, and after that also, king of Salem, which is king of peace. So really what he's telling you is, this dude here was the king of Jerusalem. That's what Salem is. Wherever Jerusalem was, he was king there. All right, read a little more.
Without father.
Now it's saying this Melchizedek didn't have no dad. Go ahead.
Without mother. Without descent.
Without descent. Go ahead. I mean, he ain't had no children either. Go ahead.
Having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of God, abiding a priest continuously.
It say this dude made like unto the Son of God. Now, when we say made like unto the Son of God, if you understand the way the Bible's working, Jesus is God in the beginning. And then he comes in the form of a man. And then it says that he becomes the Son of God at the resurrection. So what he's saying is that he's telling you right here, look, Jesus is the Son of God. And this Melchizedek and Jesus, he's telling you right there, same dude. That's really what he's trying to tell you right here. That this Jesus that we got now was that Melchizedek back then. But remember, we not dealing with we dealing with names like, oh well, his name was Melchizedek. No, remember that title even gave you its interpretation here. King of Salem, priest of the Most High God. It didn't tell you his name in Genesis 14. As a matter of fact, if you read the Bible, when God talks to Moses, he's gonna say, well, by my name Jehovah was I not known unto them. So he wasn't rocking names. When you go read in Genesis chapter 17, he say, well, the Lord appeared unto Abraham. It just say the Lord. It don't give you no name. All right? That means, again, it is a title, meaning, what do it mean, y'all?
Prince of King of Salem.
King of Salem, priest of the Most High God. That's what it, when you hear Melchizedek, know that's the order. That's what that is. That's the order. All right. What verse are we at? Let me see. Do we need to read some more? Can we move? Let's go ahead and yeah, we can. You can read some of that on your own. I'm trying to see if I got this in here to read some more. Let's just go over here. No, let's read this now. Go ahead. Go ahead. Keep reading.
Now consider how great this man was,
Uh-huh.
unto whom even the patriarch of Abraham gave the tenth of a spoil.
So look, he said, look, consider how great this Melchizedek was. That Abraham gave a tenth of his spoil to him. All right, go ahead.
And verily they that are of the son of Levi, who receive the office of the priesthood.
See, now we have introduced another order here. Quiet as kept. He say, and now we see the sons of Levi. It said, who received the office of the priesthood. Go ahead.
Have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law.
He said, these people, according to the law, have a commandment to take tithes. All right. Now we ain't see no law for Melchizedek. We was just in chapter 14. Like I can tell you each chapter is before then. You know what I'm saying? It ain't got nothing to do with law. Go ahead.
That is of their brethren, though they come out of the lines of Abraham.
Uh-huh.
But he's whose descent is not counted from them receiving tithes of Abraham, and bless him that has the promise.
Okay, we're gonna look at that again later. Let's go down here to Genesis real quick. Genesis chapter 3. So this is my first time teaching this class like this, so y'all my test. There you go. That's what y'all. Cause I'm already up here teaching. I'm gonna teach it again next week. I'm gonna be a little longer next week. Cause I was putting together. I'm like, man, this too short to really be able to expound on this. But it's all good though. We gonna understand by the time we're done. If not, you know what I'm saying, we'll deal with questions all day. But Genesis, let's go over here to Genesis chapter 3. So I'm taking y'all back to the garden because it said here that it said that Melchizedek was priest to the Most High God and King of Salem, made after the or in the similitude of the Son of God. Basically saying in the similitude of Jesus. What I'm gonna show you now is that this Melchizedek was Jesus because it couldn't be anybody else. Remember, it said he didn't have no mother, no father. These are the first characteristics. Now, when you say was Jesus, let's see how we want to do this. We're gonna stay here. That's how we're gonna do it. And before we go to Genesis 3, let's go to Genesis chapter what do you say? Let us make man in our own image.
1:26.
There we go. 1:26. Let's go over there. Genesis 1:26. Genesis 1 and chapter 26. Genesis 1:26. All right, and read that verse.
And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowls of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth.
Okay, that's good. So why I'm here is because I want us to learn right now, real quick as possible. You know, we could have went to John 1. We did that earlier in Brother DeMarcus' class when it said, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was God. The Word was with God. The same was in the beginning when it was. Okay, so now we back here in the beginning. And notice God is saying, let us make man in our image. So what we got going on is the Father and the Son here. All right. The Father don't deal with mankind. All right. So now we're going to go over here to chapter 3. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. And we're going to look at once man was made, what happened in the garden. All right. And this still is showing us, we learned what we about to learn right here, just so I can help y'all, just so you can know, because it don't matter whether you know or not. We about to find out we about to see the acts of the first priest. Right here in Genesis chapter 3. Now remember, Melchizedek is priest to the Most High God and King of Salem. So my job is to show you how Jesus is that priest as well as that king. That's what we're going to do in this class. In order to show you that Jesus was Melchizedek. Because you can't have, what you're going to learn, you can't have two high priests on earth. You can't have two kings in one place on earth. You understand what I'm saying? Like you can't have two kings of Jerusalem. All right. So that's how we gonna put this together and comprehend that this Jesus is Melchizedek. Okay. So right now what we're doing is we're looking at Jesus as priest. So go ahead. Now the serpent. Go ahead.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, has God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Uh-huh.
And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the tree of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Go ahead.
And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die.
Lied to him. Go ahead.
For God does know that in the days ye eat of thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
What happened next?
And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes,
right,
and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
All right, now, this is what Brother DeMarcus was saying earlier. He didn't specify, but he kept talking information. Oh, if they wouldn't have got the information. Well, what we got going on in the garden is that when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, immediately we start thinking something that you put in your stomach. But in reality, you eat or you digest or you take in words as well. There's something else that comes into you. And notice what it said, a tree desired to make one wise. And it said, so now it says like a tree to make you wise. Now look, any tree old on this planet. Like when I say they old, you see some of these trees, they 800 years old, 1,000 years old. I mean, they get old. Like we ain't been here but for 6,000 years. Trust me, if it was a tree that could make you wise, it'd still be here. And we'd be eating off of it. And Claire wouldn't have paid all that money to go to college. You know what I'm saying? She would have been like, look here, man, where that apple tree at? That's what they're trying to, or where that banana tree is at, because it's time for me to learn something. Like, nah, it was about an education that was provided to Eve. And this education was filled with lies and false information. Okay? Now, it was called trees, that's like right now, if I say, well, you can judge a tree by the fruit that it bear. You ain't gonna think I'm talking about some palm trees and pineapples. You're gonna think I'm talking about a person. Right. That's the same thing that's going. There's a person in this garden with Adam and Eve. As a matter of fact, there's more than one person in this garden. All right, but we're gonna see these people here because it said that the serpent was there, which the serpent really, that's the one who got them to eat from the tree of good and evil. But the reality is, this serpent, we read later in the Bible, Satan, he was this tree of good and evil. He was this individual. It was just Satan. All right. But at the same time, he said, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eye, a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And what happened?
And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together, and they made themselves aprons.
All right, so look, they realized they ain't got no clothes on, so now bam, now they put some clothes, like they went and sewed some figs together and put some clothes on. Okay. Now let's see what happens next. Go ahead.
And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden.
Pay attention to that. They heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden. So what it's saying is, while God was walking, they heard his voice. So that's showing you that God is in the garden with them. All right? So God is here. Now remember, we was talking about, who was God in the beginning with the Word was God, and the Word was with God. So really this God we got here was Jesus. But we're going to prove it out though. Go ahead, keep reading.
In the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God among the trees.
That's why they heard his voice, because they hid themselves. So it wasn't like they just say, oh, well, they saw God walking around the block. Like, no, they didn't want to see God. Because first of all, they knew they was naked now. And secondly, they had to made some clothes. He didn't do neither one of them. Last time he seen them, they were running around here butt naked. They like, so what are you going to say? Go ahead.
And the trees of the garden. And the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou?
Uh-huh.
And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself.
Go ahead.
And he said, Who told thee that thou was naked?
Uh-huh.
Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shalt not eat?
So he said, did you eat from the tree while I told? He said, who told you you was naked, though? Mm-hmm. Who gave you that? That's why he kept saying it's information. It was information. Right, because you had a conversation. When you was eating from that tree, that was a conversation that was taking place. All right? So then he said, did you eat, he said, who told you you was naked? Who told you that I was naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree? Wherever I commanded you that thou shouldst not eat? Watch what he say. Go ahead.
And the man said, The woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat.
So he said, look, that woman you gave me, she did. He put it right on her. Because she was the one that was deceived. It'll tell you that. Like she did. Like, look, I ain't had these problems till you brought her in here. So get her. So he did. So the Lord ended up, punishing the woman. So he made her have childbirth. Punished the serpent. Say, oh, you gonna eat the dust of your belly now, or whatever, something to that effect. And punish Adam. Say, you gonna work to the sweat of your brows, and you gonna die. All right. Now, so those were the punishments that came upon Adam and Eve, and you read that in this chapter. But we're gonna jump down, because remember I told you we're gonna see the first act of a priest in this chapter. So let's skip over verse 20. Go ahead.
And Adam called his wives names Eve, because she was the mother of all living.
Now, when they say his wife, you mean like plural, like that was her name. This is the name that belonged to her. Because he sounded like he was saying it was more than one. Yeah, that's what y'all know. He only had Eve there. Wasn't Eve and Lilith. I don't know if y'all ever heard that one, but they be trying to rock that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, some crazy crap. No, it was just Eve, and it's specifying here. Look, she the mother of all living. So just FYI, ain't nobody alive that didn't come from Eve. People be trying to say, oh, well, Cain, when he left the garden, ain't nobody alive. This was written way after they was here. That didn't come from Eve. Go ahead.
Unto Adam also and to his wife did the Lord God make coats of skins and clothe them.
Now, do y'all see the act that the priest had just carried out? I want you to understand what happened at first. When they realized they was naked, they went and made them some cotton jackets, some Carhartts. You know what I'm saying? They put on pants and shirt because they knew they was naked. But now, shoot, when Jesus found out that they knew they was naked, he put a mink on them, put some fur on them, really some sheep or something, some cow skin or something. How did he make this coat of skin? He killed an animal. That's what he just did. See, what the Bible teaches us and what we learn is that the wages of sin is death. So they sinned. So instead of him saying, you know what, especially how Adam did, Adam probably saved himself. That woman you gave me. You know what I mean? But you know that screen out right there.
Oh, it's still on.
Oh, okay. Now I just having a look at him like, I hope you don't think he recorded. But he so what he did to that woman, okay. Well, so what he did for that woman, instead of him just killing her, killing Adam, whatever, he went ahead and killed an animal. And that blood was the sacrifice for sin. Here's your high priest right here. You see? And we talking about God. Just that simple. All right. Now let's move a little further. Let's go over here to Deuteronomy chapter 23. I'm gonna prove something else to you. Because some people don't get it. Like, God live here on earth? The answer is yes. One time he said, look, don't sell this land. It's Leviticus 25. Don't sell this land. This is my land. And you strangers in it. And you dwell with me. That's what he told him one time. We're going to see something else here, though. See, the Lord lived on this earth. That's one of the great mysteries that these scientists don't get. You know, like when the scientists, when they be trying to figure out is Noah's Ark for real? Where's Noah's Ark? Where's the Ark of the Covenant? They don't be getting God did actually live here. Like, you think he just made this for no reason, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that wasn't how it worked off 21 jump. all 21 jump when God made the heavens and earth and he made Adam and Eve, he planned on being here too. He was replenishing the earth. He was going to be here too. It's a whole bunch of people up in heaven. He ain't got to be up there with them. They straight. They ain't going to miss him. It ain't going to be lonely up there. You got the Father and the gang of angels. All right. So he come down here, build him earth down here. All right. Deuteronomy 23. Let's pick it up at verse 12.
Thou shalt have a place also without the camp.
All right. So now he's talking to the children of Israel. He said, I need, when y'all come up, they done brought them up out of Egypt in this case. And he was like, I want y'all to have a place outside the camp. For what though?
Well, they shall go forth abroad. And they shall have a pattern upon thy weapons. And it shall be, when thou wilt ease thyself abroad.
You know what ease thyself abroad means? When you do number 2. That's what that means. When you got to use the bathroom. That's what he's talking about. Go ahead.
Thou shalt dig therewith, and shalt turn back and cover that which comes from thee.
Right. So he says, so when you go use the bathroom, you need the ghetto way we used to say it back in the day, ease thyself abroad. So when you do that, he said, look, dig that up, cover that spot up. Don't leave it there. Cause they outside. See, now we go to the toilet. It's just like saying flush the toilet. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But they ain't got toilets. They outside. There's somebody hid behind the tree. Like, look, man, I don't need you just leaving it there. That's nasty too, though, right? You know what I'm saying? We were just talking about that earlier, stepping in dog mess. That's probably even worse, stepping in human mess. Right? I mean, just look at you looking like, right? Because that's disgusting. All right, but notice what it say next. Go ahead.
For the Lord thy God walketh in the midst of the camp.
This ain't a misprint. He said, because the Lord your God is walking in the midst of the camp. He right there with you. So with that being said, if the Lord thy God was here and we saw the first priest was God, then we can say that he is priest to the Most High God until he decides to let somebody else be priest. We don't see that though. All right. Let's go over here to. Well, you can finish reading that verse. Go ahead.
Let me start over. For the Lord thy God walketh in the midst of thy camp to deliver thee and to give up thy enemy before thee. Therefore shall thy camp be holy, that he see no unclean things in thee and turn away from thee.
All right. So you got to keep this place clean. So let's go over to Numbers chapter 1 now. We're going to see him passing over the priesthood. Appreciate that. Because remember, we got different orders of this thing. We got Jesus going to be a priest after the order of Melchizedek. We're going to come back to that. But we see here that Jesus was the priest, the first priest. We saw that in Genesis. And we saw that he was here on earth. Now we're going to go look at him handing over that priesthood. All right. So let's go over here to Numbers chapter 40. Numbers chapter 1. And we're going to pick this up at verse 49. Is that my next verse?
Yeah.
Okay.
1 and 49.
Yeah, I'm deliberating. Should I switch Exodus 31 or not? No, we'll do it this order. We'll see. Go ahead.
Only thou shalt not number the tribes of Levi, neither take the sum of them among them.
All right, so this is the Lord talking to Moses, and he's giving him directions on what he's supposed to do next. So he say, look, don't number the tribes of Levi. Go ahead.
Neither take the sum of them among the children of Israel. But thou shalt appoint the Levites over the tabernacle of the testimony, and over all the vessels thereof, and over all the things that belong to it. They shall bear the tabernacle.
So we looking at the job of the Levite. He gonna bear the tabernacle. What else?
And all the vessels thereof, and they shall minister unto it, and shall encamp round about the tabernacle. And when the tabernacle sitteth forward, the Levites shall take it down, and when the tabernacle is to be pitched, the Levites shall set it up. And the stranger that comes near shall be put to death. And the children of Israel shall pitch their tents, every man by his own camp, and every man by his own standard throughout their host.
Go ahead.
But the Levites shall pitch around and about the tabernacle of the testimony. that there be no rest upon the congregation of the children of Israel, and the Levites shall keep the charge of the tabernacle of testimony.
Y'all see who now we talking about the church here. That's what the tabernacle is. And he's saying, look, I'm setting this particular tribe up, and their job is to make sure don't nobody else get killed by making sure that they fulfilling all the duties of this tabernacle. When you read in the Bible, it show you all kind of stuff about the tabernacle, even to the point that the Ark of the Covenant was in there. You know what I'm saying? So this was the Ark of the Covenant is where you can actually get the presence of the Lord once a year. See, remember we read the Lord was walking around Israel and you ain't know where he was, so clean up the dung. So he could be right up on you like, hey, how you doing, bro? Y'all be kicking. You know what I'm saying? Where once a year, he's showing you where his presence is. On the Day of Atonement, you know it's right there in that Ark of the Covenant. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, you know, the Ark of the Covenant was sitting like his throne. So, and they would carry it, they had a special way to carry it and everything. And when the children of Israel was in the wilderness, by day it was by smoke, and by night it was by fire, how they was getting led. And the Lord was making sure that that was done properly. He had his angels here, everything. This is what Israel got the opportunity to have when they left out of Egypt. See, all these other nations, they got gods. Pharaoh had gods. But Israel had their God right there with them. Where all these other nations thought they did. You know what I'm saying? But they guys wasn't nothing. So like when Jesus ran through Egypt, he made it dark for 3.5 days or 3 days. Like, yeah, so you worship Ra, where he had not. You're right. See, that's the sun god. So you see, this is what God was doing, showing himself to the Egyptians and proving himself to the world. And then he rolled with them. That's why he didn't put up with a lot of foolishness. That's why people kept getting killed time after time. All right? So, where we going next? Let's go over here to Exodus. Because now we just saw the job of the tribe. Now what we're going to look at is the actual job or who gets the high priest position. All right? The tribe of Levi, out of all the, because if you don't know the story, when the children of Israel leave out of Egypt, they get divided into 12. They get divided into 11 sons, plus Joseph got a double portion. So instead of Joseph getting one tribe, he got 2. And the sons of Levi, one of the 12 tribes of Jacob, was split into everybody so that they can handle the priest work. Now, out of his sons, out of Levi's sons, he's going to have a son, Aaron. Just like Moses came from Levi, Aaron came from Levi. All right? And he's going to have the order or the hierarchy of the high priest. All right? So he's going to be your main guy that's going to go to the Father for you. He's going to be the head of your church. Because this is the church actually getting started right here. All right? Let's go to Exodus. Where we going? 31? Exodus 31 and pick it up verse 1. So everybody's still with me right now. Yep. Y'all know what we doing. What we doing right now is we saw the first act of a priest in Genesis. Now we're seeing that the priesthood is being handed over to somebody else, to Levi. All right. Now the reality is that up until Jesus died, that's who your priest is, Levi and Aaron. But we're gonna get there. Like I say, next week we're gonna have probably a whole lot more scriptures. But I try to make it short. But Exodus 31 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, See, I have called by name Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. And I have filled with the Spirit of God, in wisdom and understanding, and in knowledge, in all the manner of workmanship. I devised coning and work.
So these people doing some work, and the Lord said, they actually building the temple, the tabernacle. And the Lord said, I put this spirit upon these people, all right? Upon a particular individual person here. Go ahead.
To work in gold and in silver and in brass, and in cutting of the stone, to set them, and in carving the timber, to work in all manner of workmanship.
Go ahead.
And I, behold, I have given with him Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach, the tribe of Dan.
All right. So let's get to verse 7.
And the tabernacle of the congregation and the ark of the testimony, and the mercy seat that is there up upon, and all the furniture of the tabernacle, and the table and his furniture, and the pure of candlesticks.
So what we got going on, this is all the stuff that's in this tabernacle, or what we would call or consider church. All the stuff that's in the church right now. Okay, go ahead.
With all his furniture and of the altar of incense, and the altar of the burnt offerings, which all his furniture, and the lever and his foot, and the clothes of the servant.
See, so he's saying they even had special clothes, the clothes of the servants. So it's a certain type of order and theme that's about to take place in this tabernacle or at church. Go ahead.
And the clothes of the servant, and the holy garment of Aaron the priest, and the garment of his son, to minister in the priest's office.
See, so now we see it here in the clothes of the servants, and the holy garment for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his son to ministers in the priest's office. Okay, so this is who your priest is now. Aaron is. All right. So let's go over here now to 1 Samuel. So we saw that the first priest was God. That's who made the coat of skin. Now we see Aaron, his sons are filling the priest role. All right. When they built it, they was like he informed us who the priest was here, and we could have went other places. You know, like we could go into great detail on all of it, but we just touching the surface right here. All right. So now going back to what Melchizedek is, we're gonna turn over to 1 Samuel chapter 8. Going back to what Melchizedek is, remember it said he was priest of the Most High God, and what was his other title?
King of Salem.
King of Salem, exactly. And I was explaining to you that Salem means exactly Jerusalem. That's the same place. So he was king of Jerusalem. Okay. So let's go over here, and it said that this Melchizedek abided a priest, and he was forever having no descent, no end of days. You know, we read all of that. All right. Now we also show that God or Jesus, who killed that animal to give Adam and Eve coats of skin, he was here walking amongst us. And basically he was priest until the days of Aaron. Then they became the priest. All right. Now we're going to see also he was king until a certain point. So go ahead and start reading.
And it came to pass when Samuel was old, that he made his son judge over Israel.
All right, so what Israel had when Samuel was around was what we like to call judges. And what the judges were, they was kind of like, you know, they was in charge, but really the church was in charge. All right, and they just made sure everybody did what they were supposed to do. It wasn't like having a king. All right, you know, some of the judges, like Samson, he was a judge. Man, all he did was just freedom. You know what I'm saying? Because the church really was in charge. The law was executed by them. You know, when somebody did something wrong, the church said stop. We didn't need no king, no personal king. We had what we needed. We really did. Because really, if the church was executing the law, then whose law were they executing? It was executing God's law. So really, God was the king then.
God still is the king.
Say that again?
Say God still is the king.
Well, yeah, right, absolutely. But we're going to see here that God going to hand over amongst Israel the kingship. Just for a time, though. Just for a time. All right? So let's go ahead and read this 1 Samuel chapter 8. Go ahead.
Now the name of his firstborn was Joel. And the name of his second was Abiah. They was judges in Beersheba. And his son walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucres, and took bribes, and perverted judgment.
So notice he said, look, now Samuel, he the judge right now. But he got some sons and they ain't gonna act right. They take money, they judgment perverted. So you know what the people gonna do. What they gonna do, brother Tom?
Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together, and came to Samuel and unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy son walk not in the ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations.
So he like, hey, do like the rest of these days, like Egypt. They got a Pharaoh, give us a king. Because your son's tripping. Go ahead.
But the thing displeased Samuel was when they said, "Give us a king to judge us." And Samuel prayed unto the Lord.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they said unto thee, for they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I shall not reign over them.
You see what he said? It ain't you, Samuel. They rejected me. I was the king. Now where are we, y'all? We in Jerusalem. That's what we are. We in Israel. So what we see is God who was walking the earth. We saw that. We saw him. That's why we cleaned up the dung. Handed over the priesthood to Aaron and them. He was the king in Israel up until he gonna hand it over to. First, it was actually Benjamin, but really Judah. We're gonna see that in a minute, and we're gonna see that the kings would come through the tribes of Judah from here on. Keep reading. We're gonna finish that up to what, verse 9?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
According to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods. So do they also unto thee?
See, he was saying I was their king from the day we left up out of Egypt, and he was. He was. It was his law. You know what I'm saying? I put an administrative team in to execute it for him. But I'm your king, meaning the Levites. I made sure they executed. All right, so I wouldn't just be killing you for doing your wickedness. All right, go ahead.
Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit yet protest solemnly unto them, and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them.
So he said, look, we gonna do what they say, but man, you protest hard, like, look, tell them, y'all don't want this. He gonna be taking your daughters. He gonna be taking your horses. He gonna be taking your lands. Y'all don't want this. You know what I'm saying? Because he gonna boss up on them. That's what he telling them. He king. You can't say nothing to the king. David become king. He takes somebody's wife. Shoot, the high priest who used to be boss got to come to him as a Nathan with some riddles. Like, hey, you know, what happens if you do this, that when somebody do this, that, and the other? You know what I'm saying? Because you now all law go through the king now. All right? And so Samuel, he told them, hey, they don't want that. But I'm going to give them what they want. If that's what they think they want. Let's go over here to Genesis chapter 49 real quick. Like I said, we trying to move quick. We don't have us here all day, but we're going to get it. It's not that difficult. Genesis chapter 49. Genesis 49. So, we over here in the days of Jacob. This is the one who was the father of Abraham, the 12 Israelite children. And in Genesis 49, I want you to pick it up in verse 1 first, but then we're going to skip around in here a little bit. When you get there, go ahead.
And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall and you in the last days.
So he said, look, I'm going to show you what's going to happen upon you in the last day. Now, we're just going to go to one particular person. Because we're going to add, now Levi, we saw, which is one of the sons. See, skip over to verse 5. Read that.
Simeon and Levi.
All right, so Levi is one of the sons. What are you going to say about them? We'll look at that.
Brethren.
Instruments
of cruelty.
Instruments
of cruelty are in their habitation.
Right. Them the ones, because these boys did some old shicey stuff. Gonna have somebody go circumcise themselves who slept with their sister, and then have them go circumcise themselves, and they went there and killed them all. So he was like, man, you tripping. Because what he trying to do, Jacob trying to do, he trying to pass on his birthright. And he was trying to give it to Reuben at first. But Reuben, he did some old shicey stuff and slept with his mama, he slept with his mama's handmaid, which really belonged to Jacob. Then Levi and Simon, y'all was bogus for what you did when y'all made old boy killed when y'all killed him. So now we're gonna go to Judah. Verse 8. So he the fourth son. Go ahead.
Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise.
So pay attention to this blessing that Judah gonna get. He said, Judah, you the one that your brother's gonna praise. Go ahead.
Thy hand shall be in the neck of thy enemy. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion wept. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up.
Verse 10.
The scepter,
The scepter, that's what the king hold.
the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come.
Till Shiloh come. Go ahead.
And unto him shall the gathering of the people be.
And unto Shiloh should be the gathering of the people be. Well, brothers and sisters, Shiloh ain't nothing but another way or another term or another title for Jesus. So he said, look, you gon', he said, the scepter, he said, you gonna hold that scepter down until Jesus comes, talking to Judah. Then he even tell him bind in his foal, vine in his ass, a coat, choice vine, and he should wash his garment in wine. You know, that's showing you Jesus too in another capacity. But let's go over here to Jesus real quick. Matthew chapter 1. Matthew chapter 1. Matthew chapter 1. So he said the scepter not going to depart from Judah. Matthew chapter 1. And we're going to pick this up at verse 18. Matthew 1 and 18. When you get there, go ahead.
Now
Hold on. Make sure everybody get there. Matthew 1 and verse 18. When you get there, go ahead.
Now the birth of Jesus Christ was on this wise, when as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with a child of the Holy Ghost.
Right, before they came together, she was pregnant. You know, the Lord had gave her a child, because this child is God with us. Go ahead.
Then Joseph, her husband, being a just man, and not willing to make her a public example, was minded to put her away privately.
He thought this in his mind, like, I'll put her away privately. Go ahead.
But while he thought on these things, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph, thou son of David, fear not to take unto thee Mary thy wife, for that which is conceived in her is the Holy Ghost.
Go ahead.
And she shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sins.
See, technically, this is what the priest do. The priest is the one who, you know, pardon your sin. You come to him, you get your sins, you know, pardoned. When they, you know, but at this point it was a bull or a goat that you would use. So he said, and he should bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus, for he should save his people from their sins. Go ahead.
Now all this was done, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which be interpreted as God with us.
So Emmanuel is his tongue, an unknown tongue, but then we see the interpretation. It means God with us. Bible does that a lot. You know, when I say unknown, not the tongue that Matthew was written. All right, but let's jump down to chapter 2, though. Chapter 2, we're going to read verse 1 and 2. When you get there, go ahead.
Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came a wise man from the east to Jerusalem.
And what they say?
Saying, where is that is the born king of the Jews?
Notice what it's saying here. Where is he that is born king of the Jews? So this Jesus came from the bloodline, or I should say from the family of David, the Jew of Judah. All right, this is where they came from. That's why I said, where is he that's born king of the Jews? Now, let's go back over here to Hebrews now. Go back to Hebrews. Go back to Hebrews here. Hebrews, and we're going to pick it back up in verse 7. So what we're doing now, because really, we done put the pieces in play. We seeing this Melchizedek, he was priest of the Most High God, king of Salem. We seeing that from the very beginning, our first priest was Jesus. Our first king we see when we was in Samuel He said, hey, look, they didn't reject you from being king. They rejected me. So we're seeing that the king as well was God or Jesus. Because Jesus is God. All right? Now we're going to put, so now that the pieces I put together, now we're going to read this Hebrews again, and hopefully we got better understanding. Hebrews chapter 7, pick it up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead.
For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the king and blessed him.
Go ahead, skip to 3.
Without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of the days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of God, abideth a priest continuously. Now considering how great this man was.
All right, hold on. Let's go to Revelation 22. I just want to show you something. They said he didn't have no beginning of the day nor end of life. So we're going to read something real quick over here in Revelation. Something that you done heard before, but we just put it all on record. Revelation 22, verse 12 through 13. When you get there, go ahead.
And behold, I come.
Hold on. What I said, 12 through 13, chapter 22? I ain't even in the right spot. Leaving me behind. Go ahead.
And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according to his work shall be. I am the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last.
I just brought us here because it's Jesus right here. And Jesus is the one that don't have no end or no beginning. No, and if you go back to Hebrews chapter 7, let's go back to it. It should be where we're going. Yup. We're gonna look at verse 3 again, then we're gonna jump down to 7. Or jump down to 11. When you get there, go ahead.
Without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of the days nor end of life.
See, this is what Jesus was. And this is the same thing that we just saw him say. But we right here talking about Melchizedek. But remember, I already told y'all that Melchizedek is not a name. So this is easy for us to comprehend. It is. Some people though, man, they will argue all day. You know what they want to tell you who Melchizedek is? They say Shem, son of Noah. That's one of the arguments. You know what I'm saying? And they saying the reason they say that right there is because they ain't know who his mother and father was. Well, how the heck they ain't know who his mama and daddy was, but it wasn't nobody but Noah? You know what I'm saying? Like, what sense do that make? Who Japheth didn't know? Y'all got the same daddy. Ham didn't know. Canaan didn't know or something. Like, come on, that's not making sense. All right? But that's what they'll tell you. But see, the way we picked it up, the way we decided to walk into the story, we broke it down with Melchizedek not being the name, so it didn't confuse us. And we understood it when we saw, by interpretation, it said he was king of righteousness as well as king, priest of the Most High God. We understood that. It really is not that complicated. And it's really, somebody said, oh, Nate, he's like, you doing a meat class. I'm like, not really. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you really see what it is, it's a real simple class. Okay? So let's go down here to Hebrews 11. Chapter 7, verse 11 now. When you get there, go ahead.
If therefore perfection were by the Leviticus priesthood.
All right, now. So now we about to really get into the meats of it all. So this is what's going on. We have been sacrificing bulls and goats all this time. And the Hebrews, which is the name of this book, was the main ones doing it. So when Jesus died on the cross, well, that took away the sacrifice. So since that took away the sacrifices, it had to be an explanation for it. Because this is how they did it. This was under the law of Moses. So it said, if therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law. Go ahead.
What further need was there that another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek, and not be called after the order of Aaron?
So he's saying, well, why do we need another priesthood to rise after the order of Melchizedek and not after the order of Aaron? Go ahead.
For the priesthood is being changed, there is made a necessity, a change also of the law.
So let's go over to Hebrews chapter 10 so we can understand the change in the law. That's a necessity now. So he's saying, look, if we gonna change the priesthood, because if you go back to Genesis and Exodus and Leviticus, and you start reading, not Genesis, but Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers, and you start reading what these priests had to do. Man, they had all kinds of stuff. They watch this, watch that, kill this, trespass offering, this type of offering, that type of offering. Go kill a turtle dove. You know, it's just so much that they had to do. It was law though. It was written down, etched in stone. This is what the Levites do. Now, when we go over here to Hebrews 10, he's going to watch what it says here. So start at verse 1. Go ahead.
For the law having a shadow of good things.
Now, that law that we looking at where it say for the law having the shadow of good things, that's the same law that where it just said in Hebrews for the priesthood being changed, there is made a necessity a change also of the law. Okay, so now we're getting into what law needed to be changed. For the law having the shadow of good things, go ahead.
To come,
And
not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices which they offer year by year continuously make the comer thereunto perfect.
He's saying, look, if they gonna kill the animal every year, it was never gonna make you right. All right, something else needed to be done. All right, and this is what the Marcus class was touching on, that Jesus had to come and die because the animal of bulls and goats couldn't. The animal ain't do nothing wrong. Like when we read that story in Genesis 3, you don't see like no tiger. You might be like with a serpent, he tricked it. That was not a snake. Like the snake ain't the most subtle beast of the field. If you understand animal kingdom, snakes don't want man there, the mongoose, let alone the eagle. He fly by, snatch a snake just like that. So I'm saying like that wouldn't be a true state. It wasn't talking about a person. I mean, animal. It was talking about a person. Animals can't do nothing to save you or condemn mankind. So he said he said verse 3, but no sacrifice is a remembrance again of sin. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you read 2?
No,
read verse 2.
For then would they not have ceased to be offered, because that the worshippers once purged should have no more conscience of sin.
Right. So he said, look, if that law before was perfect, then that means you wouldn't even have a conscience of sin no more. But
in those sacrifices there is a remembrance again made of sins every year.
What else?
For it is not possible that the blood of the bull and of the goats shall take away sins. Wherefore, when he cometh into the world, he saith, sacrifice and offering those woulds't not, but a body has thou prepared for me.
He said sacrifice and offering. That wasn't gonna do it. I need a body. Like I need a body that's gonna take away sin. Go ahead. And that's what Brother DeMarcus' class was on. Go ahead.
And burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin, they has no pleasure.
Right. He said in burnt offerings and sacrifice for sin, I don't have no pleasure in that. Verse 7.
Then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me to do thy will, O God. Above, when he said, sacrifice and offerings and burnt offerings and offerings for sin, thou wouldest not, neither had not pleasure therein, which are offered by the law.
All right, so let's go back now to this Hebrews, chapter 7. We're almost done. On my paper, we ain't got like 2, 3 more. I know I got a few more here, but I had no intention of ever reading all these. But we almost done here. Hebrews, chapter 7. We're going to go back here. We're going to pick it back up at 12, and we're going to take it all the way down to the end. And hopefully and prayerfully, we should have a better comprehension of what or who Melchizedek is, how he worked, what does it mean by the order of, because remember it said, we started this off looking at that you're going to rule in the order of Melchizedek. And when really what we're talking about ruling in the order of Melchizedek, look, when David and them boys ruled, they came out of Judah, they wasn't the priest. And when Aaron's sons was the priest, they wasn't the king. The only thing he mean by saying you gonna rule in the order of Melchizedek, because we now gonna have somebody that's ruling as king and priest. That's all. That's all he was trying to tell you. That's typically not the case. Like if you look at the world, you look at like Napoleon and all these great military leaders, they challenge the church. That's typically not the order. That it's a separation in America of church and state. But in the government of God, dude that's standing there as your king, he's also your high priest. So the one who gave you the law is the same one that can say you broke it, go to hell. This is the difference in one order to the other. That's it. That's all he was getting at. So let's go see that. Hebrews 7 and 12, when you get there, go ahead.
For the priesthood being changed, there is made of necessity of change also of the law.
Right, we saw that when we went over to Hebrews chapter 10, that under the law we killed the animals of bulls and goats. I mean, we killed the animals. We killed the blood. We killed bulls and goats, and their blood was a sacrifice for sin. Go ahead.
For he of whom these things are spoken pertaineth to another tribe, of which no man gave attendance at the altar.
So what he's saying is, look, when we was back in the writings of Moses, nobody thought about giving any attendance or any homage to Judah as being a priest. It was go to Levi, go to Levi, go to the sons of Aaron. Go ahead.
For it is evident that our Lord springs out of Judah.
He's saying, but look, now remember we was in this chapter talking about Melchizedek. All of a sudden now, as he continued to break down further, he said it's evident that our Lord came up out of Judah. Because there was never no doubt or question in his mind who Melchizedek was. It's a doubt or question in our mind, or maybe we didn't understand it. Because Melchizedek, again, ain't a person. It's an order. It's a title for a position. And what's that position again, y'all?
Priest of the Most High God.
And
King.
King of Jerusalem. Say either way. Yep. That's what it is. Okay? So he said, look, for it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood. Verse 15.
And it is yet for more evident, for that after the similitude of Melchizedek, there arise another priest.
He said, so it's more evident, like after that, after the similitude of him, come up another priest. Go ahead.
Who is made, not after the law of the corner of commandment, but after the power of the endless light.
He said, look, when Melchizedek come, and his order don't have nothing to do with what we read. It got something to do with this dude gonna live forever. See, all the priests, they kept dying. Every what, I don't know, maybe 10, 15, 20, however long it take for your high priest to die. He gonna die, we're gonna put another one in. You know what I'm saying? And so you gonna have ranges of high priests. Some of them gonna be good, some of them gonna be tripping, like how we saw Samuel's sons was tripping. Okay, go ahead, read some more.
For he testifies, thou art a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek. For there is verily a disannulling of commandment going before, for the weakness and the unprofitableness of thereof.
Keep reading.
For the law made nothing perfect.
Now, when we're talking about the law made nothing perfect, we're talking about the Levitical law, the priesthood. That's all we've been talking about here. It ain't like we've been talking about the commandments here and all of a sudden we just jumping to the priesthood. We've been talking about priests all the time. So the things that came with the priest made nothing perfect. Go ahead.
But the bringing in of a better hope, by which we draw near unto God.
Go ahead.
And in so much as not without an oath, he was made priest.
He's saying, look, and as in as much as not without an oath, he was made priest. Meaning, this priesthood was promised to Jesus. And he said, the Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou on my right hand until I make thy enemies thy footstool. He promised him this by oath. All right. And it means I don't have to write this down in nothing. This is the promise of the Father. All right. Go ahead.
For those priests was made without an oath, but this with an oath by him that said unto him, the Lord swears and will not repent. Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek.
So he's saying that's when he made the oath, when he told him that. Go ahead, keep reading.
By so much was Jesus made a surety of the better testament.
Right, so he's like, Jesus basically was guaranteed of a better testament. Meaning what was promised to Jesus was better than what was promised to Aaron and to Levi. So that's the New Testament, or the New Agreement. Okay, keep reading.
And they truly were many priests.
He said, we talked about that. There were a bunch of priests during the days of Aaron. Go ahead.
But,
Because
because they were not suffered to continue by reason of death.
Uh-huh.
But this man, because of continuing ever,
Because he continued with ever, what else?
had an unchangeable priesthood.
He said, look, he continues forever, so he has an unchangeable priesthood. See, when you got Aaron and them boys' priesthood, it's always changing. It's always flipping the script. But his gonna stay forever. So he gonna be king forever, and he gonna be priest forever. Nobody's gonna take the job. Did we read 24? Yeah. All right, so let's go over here to Isaiah 11. And we'll read Isaiah, and then we'll go to Psalm and Revelation. We won't go back. We about done, though. Because really, we got the moral of the story. But we just going to look at his, because the class is called Jesus to rule after the order of Melchizedek. So I just want you to see his rulership a little bit. And that where it's different than just how David may have been ruled. Because David is the first king of Judah. All right, so what we say we're going?
Chapter 11.
Isaiah 11 and 1. 11 and 1. When you get there, go ahead.
And there shall come forth the rod out of the stem of Jesus.
Not out of Jesus.
Out of Jesse.
Got no king. That's right.
You can read that back over there.
That's okay.
And there shall come up forth the rod out of the stem of Jesse. And a branch shall grow out of his root. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him.
That's right.
And the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of the counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and all the fear of the Lord.
Keep reading.
And shall make him quick understanding in the fear of the Lord. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. But with the righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with the equity of the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked.
So notice how it's going to say, but with righteousness shall he judge the poor, reprove with equity the meek of the earth. So we're looking at what a king does, but notice how even the standards of this particular king here is in balance. All right? Because most kings aren't doing this in balance. Verse 5, did you read that?
No.
Read.
And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins.
Read a little more.
The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the key.
See, this talking about when you get into this ruler Jesse's kingdom, it's going to be all peace. It tell you even further, the cow and the bear are going to feed together, so on and so forth. This is his kingdom, but we see here when he's ruling in the order of Melchizedek, he's ruling in righteousness. This is what we're learning. He's king, but he's also going to be your high priest. Let's go over here to Psalm 45. Psalm 45. Psalm chapter 45. That's back to the left. Just in case you did like me and turn to the right. Psalm chapter 45. We're going to pick this up at verse 1. And this is a question that come up on a lot of Bible studies. It seemed like I just had it. I mean, the reason why I was dealing with it. It seemed like somebody just asked me. Maybe Wednesday Bible study or something, somebody asked about it, but who is Melchizedek? And the first thing I try to tell them is Melchizedek ain't a person. It is a title. It is a position, and that position is represented by, again, y'all,
Priest of the Most High God.
Priest of the Most High God, and King of where?
Jerusalem.
Very good. And we ain't learned nothing else today. We got that part. but that matters though, because when you reading it, see what we do up here is we plant the seeds for you to go back home and do your own homework and for you to get it. I don't expect you to walk out of here today and know what I know just because you done sat here and listened to me teach for an hour or two. That ain't gonna happen. But what you are going to do is get seeds planted so that when you go do your homework, you do your research, I'm getting this part. I'm getting this part. You see what I'm saying? So, hey, the key thing I just want you to know is that Melchizedek ain't a name of a person. If you can understand that it's just like Mr. President, that is a title that holds representation, then when you get there, you know what those representations are. You know who that is. We good. Now you might say, you might want to challenge yourself. Well, that was Jesus back there. Well, see, that's another lesson. Once you can put that lesson together, then you're gonna get it, and everything more and more is gonna be of clarity. And that's all. So no, that's why I keep. It's a teaching method. That's why I keep making sure we get this part. This is the part I need you to get. But we read that. All right. Psalm 45, pick it up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead.
My heart is inditing a good matter.
Uh-huh.
I speak of the things which I have made touching the king.
Uh-huh.
My tongue is the pen of the ready of writers.
Mm.
Thou art fairer than the children of men. Grace is pure unto thy lips. Therefore God has blessed thee forever.
So he said, thou art fairer than the children of men. Grace is poured into thy lips. Therefore God has blessed thee forever. He's talking about somebody particular. He's actually talking about the king. Go ahead.
Gird thy sword upon thy thigh.
Uh-huh.
O most mighty.
O most mighty. They're talking about the king here. We're going to see that. Go ahead.
With thy glory and thy majesty.
Uh-huh.
And in thy majesty ride prosperously because of the truth.
Like to prosperously. Yeah.
Prosperously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because of the truth and meekness and righteousness. And thy right hand shall teach thee terrible things.
Uh-huh.
Thine arrow of sharp in the heart of the king's enemies, whereby the people fall under thee. Thy throne, O God, is forever and ever.
Now notice what he just said. Thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. See, we're talking about somebody in particular. Somebody whose throne is going to be forever. We already saw his priesthood is going to be forever. Now, I could take you to Hebrews chapter 1, or you might have a good Bible that actually got that in there. But you find that that's the Father talking to the Son right here. Thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. What else would say?
The scepter of the kingdom is right of the scepter.
He said the scepter of thy kingdom is the right scepter. Meaning the stick, the scepter is like the little stick that y'all play cards. If I play cards, you see the king, he always got something in his hand. That's the scepter. Kings basically, if you've seen any of these movies with some of some of these old school timepieces where they be having kings and they always got some kind of rod in their head or something, that's what the scepter is. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it be a magical junk. They have, it be on that. But that's the scepter, okay? So he say, thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. The scepter of thy kingdom is a right scepter. Because they use that. It's like, if that scepter pointed at somebody, that means the call is on you. So he said, well, your scepter is the right scepter. Then he say, the scepter of thy kingdom, he say, that the scepter of thy kingdom is a right scepter. Thou lovest righteousness. What else?
And hateth wickedness.
Uh-huh.
Therefore God, thy God, has anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows.
Oh, see, this he talking to Jesus, because see, kings in the days of like David, Saul, these boys was anointed to be king. So that's what he's saying about Jesus. Jesus, you was anointed king. All right. Let's go over here to and all this, like I said, if you write in your Bible, or maybe your Bible already got it, but that was quoted from Hebrews chapter 1, which we were there earlier today. We were there early at the very beginning of this class. We were looking at Hebrews 1, and we picked it up at 13 when he said another thing that the Father had told to the Son. You know what? Let's see. We got a little bit of time. All right, let's go. We got time, but let's go here to what's on the paper to go to next.
Isaiah 2.
Isaiah 2. And then Psalms 110. And then Psalms 2. Let's go to Hebrews 1 real quick. We're not going to go to all those questions. We're going to go to one more after this. Hebrews chapter 1. We're going to go to one more. I just want to make sure the stuff on this paper, though, so that, when you go back over it, you can see where you can read. Because all these scriptures down here is showing you Jesus' kingdom. But we get it. When I say we get it, like I know we get it. You know what I'm saying? Like his kingdom going to be ruled, especially when you look at Isaiah chapter 2. His kingdom going to be ruled in righteousness. All right? But we're going to look at this Hebrews chapter 1 and pick it up at verse 1 and take your time with it. Pause at the comma, stop at the period. Take your time with it. We're going to learn what this Hebrews 1 was saying. Go ahead.
God,
Mm-hmm.
who at sundry times and in divers manners spake in time passed unto the Father by the prophets.
All right, so he's saying God, when he spoke to us divers mean different type of ways. In divers times, when he's saying divers matters, spake in times past until the fathers by the prophet. How is he spoken to us in the last days? Go ahead.
Had in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he had appointed there of all things.
So he's saying, look, he's spoken to us by his Son, and he appointed his Son the heir of everything. So Paul is explaining to you that this dude gonna be boss, according to God. Go ahead.
By whom also he made the world.
He's saying, but this the same person he used to make the world. Go ahead.
Whose being in the brightness of his glory, and the express image of his person, and upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged our sins, sat down on the right hand of the majesty of on high.
All right, so we're talking about Jesus. Go ahead, verse 4.
Being made so much better than the angels.
So we still talking about Jesus. Jesus was made better than the angels. Because when he died and he resurrected, what did it say about him, DeMarcus? Oh man, you was reading in the car today. When he died and was resurrected, he became the Son of God. So he was made better than the angels. Go ahead, keep reading.
And he had by inheritance obtained a more excellent name than they. For unto which of the angels said he.
So he's saying unto which of the angels said he at any time, like until what time did the Father ever say this to an angel? Go ahead.
Thou art my son. This day I have begotten thee. And again I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son.
See, he never said this to any of his sons. I mean, to any angel, that thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. All right, go ahead.
And again, when he bringeth in the first two.
He being the Father. When the Father bringeth in the first begotten into the world, what he say?
He said, and let all the angels of God worship him.
And then look what else he told his angel. Well, look what he spoke of his angels. Go ahead.
And of the angels he said, who maketh his angels spirits, and his minister a flame of fire.
So what we're doing right here, so you got to understand, the Hebrews was dealing with sacrifice and stuff. So what Paul is doing is showing you, introducing you Jesus. Now, we went all the way to chapter 7 and began to discuss that particular order that was spoken of back in Psalm 110. Okay? So he said, but of the angels, he said, he makes his angels spirits and ministers a flame of fire. Verse 8.
But unto the Son, he said.
So this the Father talking to the Son. But he's going to tell the Son this. Go ahead.
Oh God.
No, thy throne, oh God. This is what he's telling the Son. Go ahead.
Oh God. Is forever and ever. A scepter of righteousness is a scepter of the kingdom.
Go ahead.
Thou hast loved righteousness and hated iniquity.
Go ahead.
Therefore God, even thy God,
that's right,
has anointed thee with the oil of gladness and above thy fellows.
So he was quoting this out of Psalm 45. That's why I was saying, like, look, this is the Father talking. What you going back to Psalm 45? Claire, you going back to Psalm 45? I know how you doing that too. Go ahead. I mean, that's why I said I figured that's what you was doing, because that's where that came from. Psalms 45. That's where he pulled that quote from. And he said, and that was the Father talking to the Son. See, that's how I know you get it. Because I be on that saying, oh, yeah, I get it. Hold on, now you going back, you double check it. Like, dang, is it exactly what he said? You know, because you learned something. And that's great. That's good. So he said, thou hast, he said, verse 8, but unto the Son, he said, thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. A scepter of righteousness is the scepter of thy kingdom. Thou hast loved righteousness, hated iniquity. Therefore, God, even thy God, have anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows. Go ahead, verse 10.
And thou,
comma,
and
go ahead,
thou, Lord.
So he said, and thou, he did it right though. Look, because it's the Father talking to somebody. And so the writer is saying, and then the statement is thou, Lord. What's the statement?
In the beginning, and laid the foundation of the earth.
Right. And this is in Psalm 102. This is the Father talking to the Son. When he says thou, that's the Father saying to the Son, you laid the foundations of the earth. Go ahead.
And the heaven, the work of thine hands. Thou shalt perish, but
they shall perish.
Excuse me. They shall perish, but thou remainest, and they all shall wax old as doeth a garment.
So this is the Father. You can find this in Psalm 102. Where, like, when you read that Psalm 102, that's one of my favorite chapters of Psalms. Because that's a conversation going back and forth between the Father and the Son. You don't catch that too many times. And you get the understanding on that from right here. All right? So we're not going to go through all the rest of this. We're going to go look at our last scripture, which should be, where do we want to go? I'll tell you what, we'll go back to Psalms 110. That's what we'll do. That's how we'll end it. Psalms 110. And I'll work on my ending for next week. I'm going to teach this again when I get back to Atlanta. It's the short version. So when you get to Atlanta, they going to catch the 3-hour version. Yeah. I'm telling you before class starts. Look here, y'all. We finna do 3 hours. I want everybody to sit tight and don't leave. If you ain't leaving alive today, it's 3.5. But no, serious business though. I'm gonna teach this again and add a little bit more to it just to make it a little more, not that we didn't get it, but just to make it a little more concrete where there's no questions asked. But we're gonna read this last verse here, Psalms 110, and we're gonna pick this up at verse 1. And we're gonna start over. We're gonna pretty much start where we finished. Or finish what we started. When you get there, go ahead.
The Lord said unto my Lord.
So again, we were just reading this in Hebrew. This is the Father talking to the Son. He said, the Lord said unto my Lord. What did he tell him?
Sit thou at my right hand.
Sit in my right hand. We can go back to Acts chapter 1. We see when the Father left, they're like, where you going? He going up to be, when Jesus left, he went up to be on the right hand of the Father. Or even when Stephen looked up in Acts chapter 7, he looked up into the Father, into the heavens, he saw the Father and the Son. So he said, so the Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou on my right hand until I make thy enemies, that's how long, till I get America ready, till I get Europe ready, the Middle East, Russia, whatever, all his enemies till I get, until I make thy enemies thy footstool. Go ahead.
The Lord shall send a rod of thy strength out of Zion. Rule thou in the midst of thy enemies. Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power, and the beauty of the holiness from the womb of the morning. Thou hast the dew of the youth.
He said thou have to do with thy youth, because you're going to be like that powerful, like how Israel was when they ran up out of Egypt and smashed everybody. But go ahead.
The Lord has sworn and will not repent. Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek.
So he's telling, it's the Father telling the Son, you're a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek, meaning you priest and king. That's what he was telling them right here. Go ahead.
The Lord at thy right hand shall strike through kings in the days of his wrath. He shall judge among the heathens. He shall fill the place with the dead bodies. He shall wound the heads over many countries.
You see all these executive decisions he making? In verse 5, he said, the Lord at thy right hand, he going to strike through kings in the day of his wrath. He should judge among the heathen. So he's going to be playing the job of both king and priest when he get in office. Go ahead.
He shall drink of the brooks in the way. Therefore shall he lift up the head.
Praise the Lord. So, brothers and sisters, I hope we got a little understanding. Jesus to rule after the order of Melchizedek. All right, praise the Lord. I thank you for your time. Before he gets into the regular announcements, the monthly fast is Wednesday. Oh, is it last week?
I mean,
this weekend.
I'm just saying what it is.
It's this week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Thursday night, Friday. That's when the monthly fast is. So just so you know, make sure we put that announcement. Y'all know the monthly fast is not mandatory. It's not, a commandment. Only time you command to fast is the Day of Atonement. But it's a good time to fast. And take your issues to the Lord. Or good time because we all doing it. Everybody in the church from here to that's the other part of the announcement. From here to New York to Indianapolis, Vegas, and California, Atlanta, Gary, Philadelphia. But as you know, last week we just opened up the New York camp. or maybe you don't know, so I'm announcing that. So we opened up the New York camp, and turned out really nice there. We had a nice little turnout, and it's something we're gonna be working. It's in a good enough neighborhood, Jamaica, Queens. I mean, hey, I guess any neighborhood is good as many people as they got there. I mean, New York is really packed, but we up there trying to spread the gospel, so that makes the 10th location for Israel Church of Jesus. So just keep praying on our endeavors. We looking for buildings in Philly. They need new building. Atlanta need new building. Gary working on new building. LA working on new building. Like all this stuff here, we gotta put in place. And all of that is gonna be before we even go back to the Lord on where we gonna try to open up next. So, just keep the brothers in prayer and how the work that we're trying to do, spreading this gospel. What'd you say?
Jacksonville.
Need new building.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, but we good here for a minute. These other places need them. But when I say we good here for a minute, like, it would definitely, we get good on the money here because we're not paying that much here.
Right. I
You know what I'm saying? And, like, it would be nice to ask them what a feast, when the feast come around. Most of the time, you came to Pentecost?
Yeah, come up there.
Right. He's really most of the time, you got up there too?
No, I went to
Orlando.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, you went up to Orlando?
Yeah.
Hey, did you have a good time?
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's great. I went to Philly. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So it was like, you know what I mean? But I'm saying, did you make it to Pentecost?
Yeah, Orlando.
Yeah. Okay. So you know what I'm saying? Like, and when we say in Orlando, because they got the Israel God in Orlando, and feasting is feasting. It don't matter if you make it Orlando, Atlanta, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But that's until as we grow, then eventually it'll be here, and somebody will be here to handle it. Whether somebody flying down, driving down, whether somebody that's already here that's capable of handling it here. And yes, Jacksonville will, I'm sure, get a building. But these other places need them a little worse.
Right.
That's all. So, but other than that, as far as coming down here, I know Brother Nate will be here next week. So he'll be down here by himself. Then when Joseph come, I'll be back. So for a couple of months, we just trying to work with Brother Joseph and DeMarcus. They do a lot of the work down here, and we just trying to make sure that they tighten up. They swore. You know what I'm saying? Because this is serious. We take coming down here to Jacksonville as serious as we take going to LA, Vegas, wherever, standing in Atlanta. And so we just want to make sure that, everybody's getting fed properly throughout all the congregations. So I'll be back in a couple of weeks, and then, Nate will be back. We'll probably do two lessons like how we did today, you know what I'm saying, for a couple of months. Just, helping Brother Joseph and Brother DeMarcus as they sharpen their sword and just make sure everybody gets fed properly. So with that being said, we're going to go to our regular announcements.
Our prayers that your eyes of your understanding was enlightened by today's lesson. The following is the dress code for our service. Our clothes shall be modest in appearance. Nothing tight-fitting, overly baggy, saggy, or revealing shall be worn.
Mm-hmm.
Men are to remove hats